legendary actor Val Kilmer has sadly passed away at the age of 65. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and it's a sad day for movie lovers, as today we lost one of the greats. Val Kilmer's been in so many amazing movies, so many amazing performances, and I want to pay tribute in this film, as well as go through some of his co-stars and celebrities that are speaking out at this tragic loss. He died of pneumonia, we learned, through his daughter. He is survived by his children, Mercedes and Jack. He had been spending more time with them after he was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2014. He did recover, but in that process, he lost his voice. He wasn't able to perform and act as much as he wanted to. In an interview back in 2012, he spoke about his absence from Hollywood for a decade, acknowledged that his career arc had been unusual, but he had other interests and he wanted to hang out with his kids. I don't have any regrets, he said, adding, it's an adage, but it's kind of true. Once you're a star, you're always a star. It's just at what level. He was able to spend time with his kids, and he went and made an amazing documentary that his son Jack actually narrated in his voice, or close enough to his voice. I highly recommend it. It's going to be extreme. It was emotional when I watched it back when it came out, but it's going to be even more extremely emotional, but inspiring as you watch it today. It's available on Amazon Prime, but it is a beautiful piece. He filmed his stuff throughout his work, all his films on sets. He brought a camera, and it's a real just raw and close look at his life, early career, his films, all the way through the diagnosis and his family, and a touching tribute that it couldn't be more fitting to watch today. But there are so many other performances to go through. I wanted to go through some of my favorites.
Get out on that.
It all starts with Top Secret. As a Zucker Brothers fan, Airplane, etc., this film, Naked Gun, this was such an amazingly underrated comedy, and he did so much in it, dancing, singing, and just amazing comedy. If you haven't yet seen this film, I highly recommend it. One of my favorite scenes as a kid was the underwater fight scene that he this whole movie just completely commits to it as they're throwing these. It's a wonderful film, a very funny comedy. As I go through, I'm looking for another piece I pulled. Here it was, one of my favorite shots. Oh, it's just a pair of boots. It's a lot of those type of sight gags and whatnot, but his career started with Top Secret, and it's interesting. He did it that way because he was a Juilliard-trained actor, top of his class at 17, the youngest drama student to ever be admitted to Juilliard, and sort of came out the gate with this silly spoof comedy that he completely committed to. But that was what Val Kilmer did. He committed. The next big role that I always connected him with was Real Genius.
Give it yeah.
Taste this. What is it?
What, too sweet? What is it? I don't know. I found it in one of the labs. Relax. It's just yogurt.
It's just yogurt. But as Richard Rupert says, yeah, he's a rebel wisecracker, but he really gives it a layer of Big Brother warmth. And it's sweet. It's true. I remember watching that as a kid. Always enjoyed it. One of my favorite moments, fitting for Popcorn Planet, that scene at the end when the house explodes with the popcorn, was one of those monumental moments in a movie that always stuck with me. Maybe it explains the brand. I don't know. But I always tribute Val and Real Genius to popcorn and that amazing finale. But then came the big breakout. Top Gun in 1985. Such an iconic role as Iceman. You Can Be My Wingman anytime. Woo! The most manliest movies. And he didn't ultimately want to do it. Val Kilmer had to be sort of talked into it and then forced to by the studio contract he was in. But thank God he did, because it was really one of his most iconic roles. And we'll come back to his return in a bit. After that, he then did, my gosh, as Mad Mardigan from Willow. Again, as I think it was 8 or so when this film came out, he stood out as such a movie star, as such a hero of comedic, dramatic. It's just Willow. I always thought more underrated than it ever needed to be, and I did not like its follow-up series, to be honest. But the film itself is so good. It's dark, as I rewatched it more recently, but he is the shining light in that film, such a star in it, and Mad Mardigan will always be remembered. And then came Jim Morrison, The Doors, an iconic performance through Oliver Stone's film. Hard to deny how much he channeled Jim Morrison in that film. Even as a kid, I almost sort of associated Val Kilmer and thought and pictured him more than I did the real Jim Morrison for a period of time there. He really channeled him and an amazing performance. One that's massively underrated in my opinion. I have it on VHS because I've been growing a small VHS collection of my favorites. This movie Thunderheart. If you've never seen Thunderheart, it is more of a deeper cut of Val's that I highly recommend. Anyway, check it out. It's about Native Americans. He's an FBI agent, and it's a really just watch it. Okay, it's a good one. It's a one I really recommend it. It's hard to explain. And then there's True Romance, iconic film, and as this even says, you didn't even need to see.
I got a hand to Clarence. I was cool, man. You were cooler than cool.
Cool. You just knew from even the out of focus behind him, the voice. He was Val Kilmer as Elvis, making it Elvis, but also as the Val Kilmer cool. You are cooler than cool, Claire. An iconic movie, so good, and such a nice little surprise cameo. He didn't need to always be the leading man. He had no problem sort of easing into these smaller roles. But yes, then it was Tombstone. Whoo, the classic that is Tombstone, a film that should have gotten him the Oscar, undoubtedly. Doc Holliday, his performance there is unbridled. It is so fantastic,
come on, boy.
So terrifying. The amount of just that he brought to this role, from losing the weight, etc. It is an iconic role, undoubtedly one of his favorites that most people still speak about the highest to this day. Tombstone, truly Oscar worthy, and probably Kilmer's best performance if you really were to force me to pick. And then came Batman. Batman was a choice.
Wayne and Batman. Not because I have to be. No. Because I choose to be.
I'll say I liked Val Kilmer as Batman. Way better than George Clooney. Underrated performance. Hard to compare given Michael Keaton was sort of the iconic, but there was a part of me that actually did enjoy him. The problem was the film itself was supposed to be something else. And then it just turned into this really crazy family sort of kid movie. And he was stuck under that rubber suit that he couldn't really evoke much to. But I got to give Val credit as a Bruce Wayne Batman. He was not terrible. He was actually, I think, pretty good. And in a better movie could have really shined and been a lot of people's favorite Batman. And then came Heat. Oh my God! Look, we're going through all these. This tweet is right. One of the greatest heist sequences ever in film history, and he brought so much. Again, a film that we always remember for De Niro and Pacino, Michael Mann. Kilmer stood his own in this film. In fact, Michael Mann spoke out more recently about this in an article here. He shared his reaction to the passing. While working with Val on Heat, I always marveled at the range, the brilliant variability within the powerful current of Val's possessing and expressing a character. After so many years of Val battling disease and maintaining his spirit, this is tremendously sad news, Mann said in a statement. But yeah, he really channeled a current, is a good word, of energy. And in Heat, he stands out with the best of them, which is such a high compliment. I did want to call it Island of Dr. Moreau because as this tweet says, I think it's a silly one. He went in, this is sort of out Marlon Brando. Who doesn't want to do a chance to perform with the crazy Marlon Brando at the time and then have the chance to be a diva and go crazy? That the stories of that movie are wild, and he shares some in the documentary Val. But it is a very eclectic, strange performance, but coupled with the fact that he wanted to work with Marlon Brando and sort of attempt to channel Brando, it is worthy of mentioning on the list of films, as is The Saint, which I agree is a really fun film. Elizabeth Shue and he are great in it. He gets to play a lot of different roles as like the spy. And if you want another one to watch that maybe you haven't watched or you want to rewatch and give a little bit more credit to, The Saint does hold up well. Good soundtrack as well. And then came Prince of Egypt. Ray Fiennes tweeted, rest in peace, his co-star. This is a beloved film for so many, animated film. And Val Kilmer did a wonderful job in that. Another underrated film that I wanted to spotlight was The Salton Sea from DJ Caruso. Yeah, he's an undercover noir crime drama where he's going after tweakers. God, I love the soundtrack from Thomas Newman. It was one that stood out for me back in, was it 2002? Yeah. And another highly underrated Val Kilmer performance that if you're looking to go rewatch some films and maybe ones you hadn't seen, put The Salton Sea on your list. You will be affected, I think. It's very well done. And then another one that not enough people are talking about and remembering is Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer in Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
The lake. You think they'll find my pistol? Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what you'll find?
Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what we'll find?
No.
A picture?
The definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are.
Who else can go toe-to-toe with Robert Downey Jr. the way he does? That is such a tour de force. The two of them, it's so fun, that film. Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang, one of the best. And then of the more recent performances, there are definitely some films I haven't seen or didn't love as much in the later career of Val Kilmer, to be perfectly honest. But one that does stand out and deserves a little bit of credit is his performance as Kunth in MacGruber, a ridiculous, silly comedy where he just goes for it, balls to the wall, R-rated comedy, playing the supervillain against Will Forte's MacGruber. And yeah, he's really just having fun in this role, you can tell. And it was hard to pick a clip because they're so inappropriate, but had to put that in the list. And then, yeah, to end on Val, which I had even I back in 2021 when I saw it, that the trailer hit me. It's a wonderful film, as you get a sense here. He brought a camera along to all these things, and it's a great behind the scenes look at all the films, as well as Val's struggle with everything else. This is the first one to watch if you want to watch, and then it'll make you want to go back and rewatch a lot of Val's work. It is a wonderful look back. But then Piers says look, I echo exactly what Piers said. He's played so many great roles, but he'd always be Iceman. The way Cruise got him back for Top Gun 2, knowing how he was ill, it was so poignant. It brought a tear to my eye in the cinema. Me as well. This scene right here. Oh, it's going to make me emotional again. I just remember seeing this in the film. There's a couple moments that hit me hard in Top Gun Maverick, which it really was the film of that year. And just so, who would have thought the sequel? I honestly, better than the original, in my opinion. This scene right here. Whoo! It is a doozy of a scene. You need to let go. Iceman sitting there, just that stare, and then that moment at the end. I don't want to completely ruin it if you haven't seen it, but the build up to this moment gives Tom Cruise every moment to sort of propel the film forward. It is a tour de force. It is such a fitting final role for Val Kilmer. I'm so glad he did it, and he talks so fondly about shooting the scene with Tom and getting to do it again. Fantastic final performance from Val. A lot of other tributes pouring in. Francis Ford Coppola. He was the most talented actor in high school, and the talent only grew greater throughout his life. He was a wonderful person to work with and a joy to know. I will always remember him. Jennifer Tilly shares a story about The Doors. A long time ago, I was auditioning for The Doors. It was kind of a cattle call. They paired together potential Jims with potential Pamelas, and they were running behind, so we were spilling out of the casting office, sitting on the porch, the driveway. All of a sudden, a 60s convertible screeches up, blaring Doors music at top volume, and a guy jumped out, strode inside. He had wild hair and was barefoot, shirtless, and wearing nothing but a pair of tight leather pants. We all looked at each other. Who is this guy? We were more than a little shook by the sheer audacity of the entrance. Well, of course it was Val Kilmer, and from that minute on, nobody else stood a chance. R.I.P. King. What a story. Here is Josh Brolin. See ya, brother. See ya, pal. I'm going to miss you. You were smart, challenging, brave, uber creative firecracker. There's not a lot left of those. I hope to see you up there in the heavens when I eventually get there. Until then, amazing memories, lovely thoughts. Val Kilmer, Mark Twain. Vincent D'Onofrio, who co-starred in Salton Sea. He was a uniquely talented guy, an artist who wore different hats. He was quite something. Of a generation of wonderful actors, Val stood out. We worked a few scenes together over the years. So fun. He was a blast to work with. He was inventive and honest in his work. Val was a helpful person, always kind to me. Always, he cared. He loved art. He'll be missed. My thoughts are with his children, sending warmth. Cher, who dated him for a short period. We will miss you. You were funny, crazy, pain in the ass, great friend. Kids love you. Brilliant as Mark Twain. Brave here during your sickness. All well said. James Wood. His rendition of Doc Hollywood in Tombstone was what every actor dreams of achieving. So many wonderful performances. So sad to lose him. They just keep pouring in. Josh Gad, R.I.P. Thank you for defining us. Many of my movies of my childhood. You are an icon. Richard Roper, he should have been nominated for supporting actor in Tombstone and for Heat. He was brilliant present in some of the most enduring films of his generation. Rest well. Thank you for your incredible work. I couldn't echo that anymore. But it all ends with this. It's all about the kids. And again,
describe his hat in 3 words for the last.
3 words less. Okay.
It's so touching to watch how happy he seems, given everything, to be there with his kids, the joy he shares with them, the love he has for them, that it was eminent. And it was so nice to see him be able to spend that time and near the end of his life to be able to celebrate together the career. I send so much love and hearts to these two and this family for their loss. Your dad was a true icon. He was one of the best. We all loved him. I'm going to go watch a ton of Val Kilmer movies this week. I hope you will as well. I don't know what else to say aside from a moment of silence. Thank you, Val.